What is going on, guys? It's Kevin here, coming at you with a new video today. Today I'm going to be going over yet another list of things that I like, as I've done previously with other things like such as other games, movies, and all sorts of stuff. But today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite fighting games. Now, I know that fighting games don't always have a ton of longevity to them. They're not always that fun for that long, and in some cases, you're only really playing them with your friends. So sometimes they're not always that fun, and sometimes that you don't get a whole lot out of them. But other times, I found that you do get a lot out of them. At least in the case with certain specific ones. There's probably one in particular that that I'm gonna put on this list. If you know like what I like for fighting games, but yeah, let's get into it though, because I've played a good amount of fighting games, and there's definitely some great picks to this list, I think, and there's some notable exclusions that I will mention as well. But let's talk about the picks first. The first pick is Mortal Kombat 3. Um, this is number 10 for a reason. It's definitely fun, somewhat, to play through the story mode on it, and it wasn't nearly as good as Mortal Kombat 2, which will be later on this list. Spoiler alert. But it still had that good formula to it that made it somewhat fun and enjoyable. With you're fighting through all these characters, trying to progress, and the characters get progressively harder, and you finally face the evil villain Shao Kahn at the end, just like you did in Mortal Kombat 2. He's a great, fantastic villain. I love his character, his voice, and everything about him. Um, but yeah, not as good. For one thing, it doesn't have Scorpion. What the hell is that? I know that there is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which includes him, but that's not the same game, obviously. Obviously, that's a different game. It's not Mortal Kombat 3, so I don't. I'm not buying that just because it has Scorpion in it. Like, come on, guys. Like, really? Like, just get the original. I don't get that. Like, yeah, I need to get Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 because that one has Scorpion. Like, okay, cool. But, yeah. It has Sub Zero, though. Oh, I think I might have used Liu Kang as well. I just never really found, like, a character in that I really liked, because they excluded Katana from that, who is my favorite character from Mortal Kombat 2. And yeah, Scorpion was also a character I really loved in Mortal Kombat 3. I mean, not in Mortal Kombat 3, but in Mortal Kombat 2 and 1, he was excluded, so also impacts my rating. So yeah. Next on the list is Mortal Kombat. The Mortal Kombat. Definitely somewhat dumbed down in comparison to the later sequels, of course, because it's the first one. I mean, of course, it's going to be, not as sophisticated and advanced, but it is cool. It only has two moves. Like each character comes with two moves. Scorpion has his teleport and his spear throw, and that's it. Um, what is it? Sub Zero has his freeze and then his slide, and that's it. Yeah, so it was somewhat limited as far as what characters could show off and do, but it was still fun. I think it was good for its time, and it definitely brought a new um, era of fighting games to the table with gore. It had a good amount of gore in it for its time. Um, it was definitely reduced in the Super Nintendo version, which is actually right here. Um, but yeah, I have the Super Nintendo version. It's still decently violent, but it's not nearly as bloody as the version for the Sega Genesis, which I don't have. But but yeah, it definitely ushered in a new era of violence in video games, and it was what was that game in particular caused the mature rating for a video game. I believe it was the first video game to be rated M. It was either that or Doom for the Super Nintendo. It might have been Doom, but either way, Mortal Kombat definitely brought in controversy for being so violent, um, and it was definitely straying away from you know something like Street Fighter, which is made before that. So, you know, for its time, it was pretty ambitious, and it was cool. It offered in a new different style of fighting, with kicking and jumping and just different fighting style from other fighting games in that era. And it was cool. You progress through the ladder of different classic characters, all the different classic characters, and you would eventually face Goro, and then you would face Shang Tsung, who can like transform into like other people. So like that's cool. I think that's cool. Um, yeah. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Definitely a decent amount of fun. It deserves praise for being that classic first Mortal Kombat game that brought in some great fun. Then you have a game called Injustice: Gods Among Us. This one was for sure fun. It definitely had a decent amount of versatility in it, and it was fun with friends. I'd say for a good period of time, not for like an extremely long period of time, but like um, yeah, I think it brought it for like a decent amount of time, and there's cool different animations where like characters would do their um, I don't even know what they call it, their special move, I guess, where they like do a bunch of shit in like an animation, and it's really cool. Like Flash will like run around the globe and like punch you, or Superman will like fly really fast at you, and Batman will go in his Batmobile and attack you, or who knows? Like there's just all this cool stuff that they do. You could like punch people through the course, and like yeah, there's just many different cool, versatile things you could do in that game that made it fun. And then it also had a good story mode. Actually, it did. For a fighting game, it was a short story mode. I'm sure a lot of other fighting games have notoriously short stories. I'm sure that's not uncommon, but I mean, considering how short it was fun. It was a fun time. And with the next game I have, this actually is a good comparison because I feel like this game does it a little bit better. Mortal Kombat X. Some people might have not even ever played the story mode in this game, but I actually did, and I actually quite enjoyed it. It kind of brought some light to like all the different like past lore um, from like the whole franchise entirely, because it brought in like all of these characters that were in past games, which allow me to explain. Mortal Kombat, is one of those games that across all games that they've put out, they've always like taken characters out throughout the series. So like this Mortal Kombat kind of seeks to bring all of them together and kind of like unify all the characters and explain like all of their storylines together, including the early ones with like the first three Mortal Kombat video games, with like Scorpion and Sub Zero's history and like Katana's history, yeah, and just like Shao Kahn, and then you have like all the other characters too, like Shinnok, and yeah, all the different characters. But yeah, and it was fun to play with friends. I'd say it had a little bit better longevity with friends. The storyline was a little bit better too, I thought. Just because of like the storytelling, I liked it better, just a little bit better. And also it's just more fun with friends, with like all the different characters you could pick. I thought there was just more like character versatility with like all the different characters you could choose with like different variety. And also there was like DLC with like Jason and like Alien, where like things would get like memey with those characters, or I think they had Leatherface too. Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, that game was pretty cool for what it was. Next, we have a game that I've been actually getting into lately. I know people will probably be divided on this between a game like Ultimate and a game like Super Smash Bros. Melee, but I'm pretty into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate right now. Not like aggressively or religiously into it, but I'd say like maybe like once or twice a week, I'll play some online for like an hour or two. Really not really not that much at all, but like it's just fun to like have an online environment that you can go to for that, just to have fun with other people. And also like it had a fun way to unlock characters, and it gave you a reason to play single player because you had to play um, the single player mode to unlock all the characters. So that was a good incentive to try out the single player mode, which is a fun mode. I feel like once you do finally unlock all the characters, you're kind of just like, okay, I mean, I'm kind of bored with this now. Like, I've done all of these characters. You know, you just fight certain characters over time. Yeah, I mean, it's not that great, but like it had a better incentive to play the game single player wise than Smash for the Wii U did, or Smash 4, whatever you want to call it, which is not on this list. I'm glad. I don't even want to really give it a mention because that game was just so stale and boring and didn't really have much to offer other than a somewhat okay multiplayer. Um, but yeah, Ultimate Online is pretty fun. You get to play a variety of different characters. I like Ganon and Zero Suit. More Ganon. Um, yeah, because Ganon's just so memey. He can kill people really fast, and his sword in this one is fucking badass, and I absolutely love it. Um, and he's just a cool character. I don't know, but yeah. And World of Light. I'm not really gonna get into that, but not something I'm into at all with the concept of like spirits. I think it kind of ruined the game a little bit, but obviously spirits isn't something that's used in like the competitive scene of Smash, and it doesn't matter a whole lot in that regard. But like at the same time, you're like, why does this exist? Like, why is this a thing? You're like, why do characters need to change the way they like do a certain move or change how fast they are to be able to do better and to do well in a game or in a fight against an AI? Like that's just like I just don't like that concept. I think it's stupid. Like why not just make it challenging, like just like normal, like without having to like do that. And like just the style of it just isn't for me in that regard. But it's okay though. I still think it's an amazing, maybe not amazing, but it's a really fun game. And online for Nintendo Switch doesn't cost that much. It's only like $12.99 for a year, which is like nothing compared to Xbox. Yeah, but yeah. Next game on my list is Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now this game has faced quite a bit of controversy for it kind of after it was introduced after Melee, which was a very big game for the competitive scene, and Brawl was kind of a game that kind of went against what everyone in the competitive scene liked, and it even brought on a new game called Project M that was like made so that like it was like the more like cooler, more like Melee like tiered Melee. What's the word? I don't even know. Melee like centered game, I guess. But yeah, Brawl. It's not exactly a great competitive game, but it was a game that I was really fond of as a kid, and it's near the top of this list for a reason, because for one thing, I created so many stages in that game and had so much fun creating stages in that game. I don't know why I did it in that game so much, but I just did. And I would spend hours creating stages on that game to show like my brother when he came home from college, and it was just so memey, like so memey. And like then you had the Subspace Emissary, which is actually a cool story. Like just think about the fact that like what story it's telling, where like all these characters come together in different ways to fight this like force of evil. It's cool, like compared to World of Light, which is just kind of like, like I don't know, But, like Subspace Emissary, like that's so badass. Like you fight different bosses, and like you fight like Piranha Plant, you fight Rayquaza, you fight this fucking rhinoceros thing, like you fight this blue guy who's like really powerful, and at the end, it's just cool. Like and like yeah, like I'm not hating on the game that much really. I mean like and you know playing with friends was fun too. Like it was a fun time like playing with certain characters. My character that I remember being pretty fond of when I was little was Ike because he had a big ass sword that you can just like charge attacks with, and like you could like charge like your flame thing like all the way and just obliterate people. But that would probably only work on like computer characters, but it's all good. Um, but you know, it was fun. It was so fun to like just obliterate people with Ike. Yeah, it was just a cool game. I mean, like I know it's competitive wise, it's not good for the scene with tripping and you know an overpowered character like Meta Knight who basically overtook the game and made it basically unfair for any other character aspiring to win. So like if you weren't Meta Knight and you were at like the highest level, you're probably not gonna win, most likely. You know there are some exceptions, but you know Meta Knight was overpowered. He was one of the few characters who could really combo in the game, and he made the game um, unbalanced. But yeah, nonetheless, the game is really fun. The next game on my list is Super Smash Bros. 64. This is a game that um, I, I was thinking a lot about the fact that I put this higher than Brawl and Ultimate, but you know I regard it as like more like meaningful to me because like I would always play the single player so much like as a kid, and I was just like obsessed with it. I would beat it with all the characters. I would beat it on very hard. Um, yeah, it was just a load of fun. I would always play Fox or Donkey Kong. Probably more Donkey Kong actually, just because he was like so big and strong and like powerful. Of course, I would do that as a little kid. But like in the versus mode were fun too. You know, it didn't offer a ton of like varied playstyle with like you couldn't like air dodge, um, you couldn't do a lot of things. You couldn't do a side B attack. You could only do neutral B and down B and up B. Yeah, there's just it was a little bit limited. And but nonetheless, it's a fun game. Competitive wise, it's like really overpowered. It's like really like crazy because like I guess if you're really good, you can like combo people like zero to death like easily, like really easily. But like I never really thought of it in that regard. I just enjoyed like playing as a kid, getting through the first player mode, and finally getting to the Master Hand at the end with like the cool music, and you finally beat Master Hand, and he like disintegrates away, and like yeah, just so cool, so memorable. It just holds a special place in my heart. It really doesn't have a whole lot to offer per se, but like it's just a really fun game that I enjoyed. The Fighting Polygon Team, like I don't know, it just there's just so much nostalgia behind that game that really I don't know strikes a chord with me. Even though it's not like you know really that big. I mean the multiplayer was a little fun, but like I wasn't even really that into that. Mostly just the first player mode. It's kind of funny how that one thing would like get me so into the game. But yeah.
Okay, so this is actually going to do it for the first part of this top 10 video that I'm doing. So this is just the first 10 to 4 um, favorite fighting games of mine. The top 3 will be revealed in a separate video, so stay tuned for that, and be sure to stay subscribed for other content as well. See you guys in the next video.